Iran experienced its Santiago moment when Mahsa Amini was murdered, which triggered the first revolution of its kind in the world of women's movement for liberty. This revolutionary stage brings us to a period of time where the world is taking more notice of it, clearly. And as such, it is very important that on ongoing travels and meetings, we bring their attention on the fact that Iranian people are fed up with this regime. They want to move beyond this regime. And therefore, the solution is to find something beyond this regime, as opposed to remaining stuck on the status quo and continue negotiating with a regime that has always been the problem itself.
I was in Tehran 44 years ago when your father, the late Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was overthrown. I have the feeling today that the Islamic regime is facing the same revolutionary symptoms which contributed to the fall of your father. Do you agree with this assessment?
Definitely. I mean, if you look at the people on the street that for months have been chanting death to the dictator in the four corners of Iran and outside of Iran, unprecedented number of people participating in demonstrations in many different capitals around the world is proof of such solidarity that exists between our compatriots at home and those abroad, because everybody realizes that as much as time has been given to this regime to perhaps transform itself, it hasn't, and the situation in our country could not be more dire than it is today. Iranians want to have a better future. They know they have to go beyond this regime, and they hope that the international community, particularly democratic countries in the West, will be supportive of their efforts and stand on the right side of history for the first time, as opposed to keep negotiating with this regime, who has been our first jailer and oppressor.
Do you, Your Highness, do you have today the support of the US and Israel and European countries in particular, which was so gullible about the 2015 nuclear agreement?
Well, I hope that we will discover this pretty soon. What I can tell you is that the indications that we see is a change and a shift of attention, that for the first time they are beginning to think perhaps we should anticipate what could happen beyond this regime and start thinking about the alternative, which is a good sign. I have yet to determine whether they are committed to be in full support. That's what we will find out pretty soon. And I hope that will be the case, because most movements around the world where dictatorships came to an end and the people of those countries were freed could not have happened without a tacit support from the free world. I can say that about Lech Walesa in Poland. We can say that in South Africa. We can say that in many other examples. And Iran is not an exception to that. We need to have a tacit support from the outside world. There is a campaign of maximum pressure. We all know that in terms of sanctions. But there also ought to be a campaign of maximum support for the people if we really want to see an alternative take shape.